Technique mini-series video 3. In this video, we're going to be talking about the wrist. You probably have two of them. Your wrist is where you would wear a bracelet or a watch, and our wrists are a really important part of playing the piano. So here are some things that I often see with especially young students, but all new students in general. Number one is a wrist that is collapsing down like this. Now, if you're playing a song that only has 3 or 4 notes, or maybe 5 notes, you might be able to get away with this. But imagine when you get into more advanced music and you're playing like this all over the piano. Well, if you have a bad habit of allowing your wrist to be lazy like this, then how are you going to move around the piano? It's kind of hard to move around when your wrist is mushed. You want to be up here so that your fingers can dance across the keys. Technique issue with the wrist number 2. Some students have the opposite problem, and when they play like this with their wrist too high in the air. I call this octopus wrist because your hand kind of looks like an octopus. So if you have this problem, what you might need to do is kind of say, settle, settle. What we want is for your wrist to be nice and straight and neutral. If you can kind of roughly balance a pencil on your wrist, then it's pretty straight. Now, one of the biggest issues that I see with young students is the fact that whatever chair or bench they're sitting on is too low for their piano and for their body. And this is normal because the piano was not designed for kids, right? It was designed for adults. It was designed for these big men who are tall. And when they sit at the piano, their feet are flat on the ground. And their bench is the right height. But for you guys, for kids, we may need some sort of a booster on the piano bench. We may need just a higher chair. But basically, you want to have your seating such that your arm is kind of like this. And parents, if you're watching, they will almost definitely need some help to achieve this. So you guys might have to do some troubleshooting at home to figure out appropriate seating for your piano situation. Let's see, a couple of other things. You want your wrist to be kind of straight. Oh, I was going to say, you want your wrist to be parallel to the floor. Now, when I was growing up, I had no idea what that meant, but parents, you guys will understand that one. All right, so a couple other things. We don't want our wrist to be tense. Now, tension, I don't think I've talked about that yet, and I might make a separate video about tension. What is tension? But if your wrist is very tense, it's very stiff. We don't want a stiff wrist. We want our wrist to be very relaxed and gentle. We want it to be able to move. There are 3 primary ways that the wrist moves when we play the piano. Number 1, it can move up and down. Let's try that. Let's see. Can you touch your nose with your wrist? And then let's pretend like you're pushing your wrist away from your nose. Another exercise I do to loosen up the wrist, sometimes I call it the dolphin tail or a mermaid tail. You can do like this with your arms and pretend like your hands are a tail. And you say, if it's a dolphin. I don't know if mermaids make that sound. All right. You can also do the jellyfish hand. Bloop, bloop, bloop. But all of these things can help to loosen up your wrist. Another motion that our wrist can make is it can rock side to side. So pretend like you have grabbed a doorknob and you're going to twist the doorknob to open the door. That is side to side motion of your wrist. Sometimes when I'm playing the piano, my hand needs to rock back and forth like that, especially if I'm having to stretch back and forth for like a big interval. And the last motion, this one's a little bit weird, and we don't tend to get into it until we're a little bit more advanced in piano, but sometimes there is a little bit of a forward and backwards motion with the wrist. And so just this past week, I was talking with one of my bigger students about this motion because it's really helping him with a certain passage. So one exercise that I would recommend, so when you get done with this video, you can give this a try, is called painting rainbows. And with painting rainbows, we are going to press with our 3rd finger, nice and strong, rounded, firm fingertip, right? So not collapsing the joint. And we're going to press on a black key somewhere on the piano. I like to start up high. And then we are going to paint a rainbow with our wrist. And actually, my overhead camera is in the way. Let's move that. So I'm going to press a note and lift from the wrist. Woo! And I'm going to press it down low key. And I'm going to come back and I'm painting a rainbow with my hand. You imagine you have a paintbrush and you're going back and forth. All right. You can paint small rainbows. See how I'm pressing with a strong, rounded, firm, tippy tip of my finger. And I'm going to make a very small rainbow. And I lift. Now, we're not moving from the shoulder or the elbow so much as the wrist. Now, if you're painting rainbows and your hand looks like this, then you're not doing it the right way because we're not painting a rainbow. We've got to be coming up and down. It's a very big motion. When we do technique on piano, a lot of times we want to start off with a very exaggerated motion because that's going to help us to really understand what it is that we're asking our wrist or our bodies to do. All right, so that's the last thing when it comes to wrist motion. I hope it helps.